The unfinished dream of Nikola Tesla leads to a conspiracy of weather, mind, and thought, control, and manipulation. We'll be talking about the conspiracy of HAARP. What is HAARP? Where is it? It is in Gacona, Alaska, in the middle of nowhere, and it stands for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. It was built in the early 1990s, and it was originally designed by the U.S. Air Force, the Navy, and DARPA, the same agency who would then go on to create the internet, or at least help create the internet. And it is now owned and operated by the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And on paper, the mission of HAARP and its research and what goes on at the facility is, quote, a scientific endeavor aimed at studying the properties and the behaviors of the ionosphere. And that's a direct quote from the HAARP official site. Using a massive antenna array that stretches 30 to 40 acres, HAARP transmits high-frequency radio waves into the ionosphere, the charged upper layer of the Earth's atmosphere. HAARP's mission with this technology is to study solar storms and how they affect the satellites and to improve global communication and GPS. If you wanted to run experiments on the upper atmosphere and have your facility in the middle of nowhere away from the public eye in a more northern part of the world, Alaska would be a really good place for it because, I mean, that's all Alaska really is, in my opinion. I mean, there are places people live, but like most of Alaska is just frozen, just barren wasteland. So it would allow you to conduct experiments uninterrupted and without the public, breathing down your neck. And that's exactly why it's at the center of a bunch of conspiracy theories. So the HAARP program is connected to the notorious inventor Nikola Tesla and what he strived for and what he developed. He was best known for developing the alternating current, or AC electricity, and he also worked on wireless energy transmissions, radio waves, and early theories of renaissance. He believed that energy, frequency, and vibration were the key to understanding the universe and how it functions, and how to potentially manipulate it. He even has claims that his technology could theoretically manipulate the weather and cause earthquakes, even though that this was never shown. In the early 1900s, he began construction on the Wondercliff Tower. I don't really know if that's how you say it, but that's how we're gonna go. A 187-foot structure in Shoreham, New York. Originally, this project was funded by J.P. Morgan. And Tesla believed that through this project, he was going to be able to transmit electricity and power to the whole world for free, basically supplying free energy all across the globe using frequencies and energy in the atmosphere that the Earth already provides. In the 1890s, he was able to power and demonstrate this wireless electricity by powering a bunch of lights and lamps without using electrical cables, just by using the electromagnetic resonance in the atmosphere. He achieved this by sending energy through the ionosphere, which is the exact same technology that the HAARP is researching today. His writings mentioned everything from wireless communications to controlling the weather patterns and even controlling earthquakes through resonance. So if you know anything about J.P. Morgan, obviously free energy for the world is not a profitable business. And because capitalism controls and destroys everything good in this world, you can see where this is going with Tesla's dreams. When approached with the idea of free energy for everyone, J.P. Morgan famously quoted, "If anyone can draw on the power, where do we put the meter?" Obviously, because you can't make money off something that's free. And upon hearing this, the funding was pulled and Tesla's inventions and dreams fell into obscurity. When Tesla died in 1943, he was frail, he was poor, and living in hotels. He had fallen far from the limelight that he once knew. And upon his death, the Office of Alien Property seized all of his work and all of his paperwork involving his inventions. This is strange because Nikola Tesla was a US citizen. So why was the Office of Alien Property coming in to seize all of his work? Among those documents were designs for weapons, energy transmitters, and frequency-based technologies. Now, originally on paper, the ideas and inventions that were seized upon his death were dismissed and seen as just crazy, out of this world inventions. However, many people believe that HAARP is a reworking and reinventing of Tesla's inventions, but for a military complex agenda instead of, giving everybody something that could benefit the world and make everyone's lives so much easier. Because if that was the case, we'd all, we wouldn't have to pay taxes, and we probably would be way better off as a society, but a good society doesn't make money. So I don't know anything about business, but a happy person is not a good client, because that means they're satisfied. Woo. Patents cited by conspiracy theorists like Bernard Estlin's atmospheric heater even directly reference Tesla's models. Estlin's design to beam RF energy into the ionosphere bears eerily similar to what Tesla theorized it was possible a century earlier. Okay, so what we have so far is just random speculation. Government facility, kind of weird, mysterious death of a kooky inventor that threatens the potential military complex and the economic functioning of the world. Seems ripe for a conspiracy theory. And that's exactly what happened in 1995. Dr. Nick Bekich and journalist Jane Manning published Angels Don't Play This HAARP, a book that launched HAARP into the conspiracy spotlight. They argue that HAARP could alter global weather, trigger earthquakes, scramble brain waves with ELF, or extremely low frequencies, and disrupt satellites or aircraft. Now, these are big claims, again citing that same patent by Bernard Estlin that we mentioned earlier, because it does directly mention blasting the ionosphere with radio waves and other frequencies to do what exactly? Well, it depends on what you believe. This brings us to Operation Popeye from 1967 to 1972. During the Vietnam War, the US military used cloud seeding to extend monsoons over Vietnam, and it worked. The US Defense Department in 1974, quote, said the US used weather modification as a strategy of war, and this sparked huge global backlash. By 1977, the ENMOD treaty banned weather warfare, but the technology didn't disappear. So it is possible for weather manipulation to be used to, I have no idea, honestly. It could be anything at this point, because I can't believe anything anymore. But it is possible for the weather to be manipulated, and this example shows that the US government does have access to that technologies, and that was in the 70s. That was in that was what, 50 years ago. So what kind of technology do they have today? So with all this talk of weather control and earthquake manipulation and all this other stuff that implies controlling natural disasters, or natural disasters are more than they seem, what are some examples that conspiracy theorists tend to gravitate towards? So in 2010, there was an earthquake in Haiti. It was a massive catastrophe, a 7.0 earthquake, and supposedly HAARP was reportedly active during that time. Some point out strange atmospheric anomalies, colorful skies, and rapid ionospheric shifts. Now, the colorful skies thing I was going to mention earlier in the video, but it seemed kind of out of place, and I'll go into it a little bit more, I think, in a future video. Don't quote me on that. But basically, HAARP, when it studies the ionosphere and charges it with X, Y, and Z frequencies, it creates a sort of mediocre northern lights effect in the sky above it. And this sort of ties into the whole grand theory that if they were able to control the weather and manipulate the atmosphere above a certain area, perhaps the sky above that area would light up in some kind of colorful show, if you will. In 2011, Japan experienced a 9.0 magnitude earthquake, and it was the strongest in Japan's history. This followed reports of electromagnetic disturbances in the region, and obviously you can see the connection that people would draw and consider, oh, well, HAARP did it because HAARP does X, Y, and Z again. Proponents of the theories involving HAARP claim that it was used to weaken the fault lines and create this massive earthquake, resulting in more collateral damage as a tsunami. Do with that as you will. In 2023, in Turkey and Vanuatu, I can't read, there was a massive lightning storms and a earthquake that experienced the same kind of lights in the sky effect, and then this is attributed to the lights caused by HAARP. And in New Zealand in 2023, there was a massive storm that seemed to linger much longer than a natural storm would, and people attribute this to weather manipulation by HAARP and or just the governments of the world. During the experiments at HAARP, it usually only affects a small-ish localized area about a few tens of kilometers away from the original facility. However, frequencies traveling through the ionosphere can cover distances ranging from 100 to thousands of miles, which Haiti is thousands of miles from Alaska last time I checked, but I'm not, that smart. I'm actually an idiot. I have no idea what I'm talking about, and I'm just reading stuff I found on the internet. Anyway, the exact range depends on the frequency, the time of day, and the atmospheric conditions. Also, lower frequencies tend to travel further and more effectively than those of a higher amplitude. And this is significant because earthquake frequencies, like earthquake waves, run at a frequency of less than 20 hertz, and radio waves are considered to be extremely low frequencies on the electromagnetic scale. So the frequency range of radio waves is fucking huge. I'm talking massive, from 3 hertz to a fuck ass, like 300, gigahertz? It's huge. It has a massive range. And with that, obviously, as mentioned earlier, 20 hertz does fall into that realm, or to that range. Are earthquakes caused by radio waves? I mean, believe what you want. I do believe that there might be some potential, but I don't know. Like, I'm not gonna turn on FM radio and then a sinkhole is gonna happen. I don't think that's gonna happen. But I feel like people in higher places with way smarter brains than me probably know how to explain frequencies and shit way better than I can. I mean, I can barely speak English, and that's my only language. So we all remember the forest fires in California and all over the world, but I remember hearing a lot about how the forest fires in California were caused by direct energy weapons, or beams of light that come from the sky to start these fires unnaturally. Now let's take direct energy weapons as just a concept. Do they exist? Correct. Now they do, in the sense of like high energy lasers and microwave beams, and they're designed for military use, satellite defense, or even crowd control. There are all sorts of different rabbit holes that you can go down, from sound weapons to heat wave weapons that the military deploys to control people and or manipulate the environment around them to kind of, coordinate people where they want them to go. So I've heard stories of weapons that can heat up this layer of your layers of skin and make you violently uncomfortable so that you move in a certain area. Is that true? I didn't research that. You could say everything is used for military use, but conspiracy theorists believe that this is being used as a darker, more targeted technology. That these fires were deliberately started to make room for more apartments, smart cities, luxury developments, and or interest of the government or large corporate enterprises needing land or wanting to control more of the land. There are claims of melted aluminum and glass where nearby trees were totally fine, suggesting an unnatural heat source or heat, what is that word? So there were fires in here. I'm not trying to pronounce that. There was reports of water being withheld and no sirens being alarmed during these events. And this leads people to be concerned and start to question the motives behind the authorities that were there to help with these disasters, whether that be negligence or an actual error, or, you know, maybe the infamous they wanted to let these disasters play out a little bit more than originally thought. Another consistency that leads people to believe that this is more than just natural disaster are the alleged land grabs after the fires in California and other disasters throughout the world. A recent article came out stating that a bill was passed in California that allowed the land destroyed in the fires to be bought for development of, quote, multi-family affordable housing projects. But with the release of this article and the passing of this bill, it kind of murkies the water a little bit, because if these suspiciously fast land grabs are happening right after these fires, like, sure, you could argue that the landowners are in dire need of financial aid, and these companies are like, well, we'll buy this damaged land for you so that we can develop on it. It's easy to see how people are going to draw connections between a conspiracy and that. How does this connect to HAARP? Theorists believe that these are complementary technologies, that HAARP is used to manipulate and weaken the atmosphere around a certain area, and the direct energy weapons are then able to shoot their beams down through the atmosphere much easier and much more precise from the satellites that they are supposedly used on. So now we're getting to my favorite part of the theory, and that is that HAARP is being used to control and manipulate people's minds. Mind control. The claim is that this is tied to another conspiracy theory titled Project Bluebeam, and I'll be doing a video about that in the future, right after this one, because the two are one and the same. They're directly connected. The theory states that by using certain frequencies directly aimed at a person or group of people, they could control what they think and how they act. With the rising of the internet and everything, it's not hard to see how frequency and technology can manipulate how people think and how people act and choose to live their day-to-day. So mind control is not anything new. I mean, look at MK Ultra, which another video in the future coming soon, and literally any psyop ever. I mean, if you want to, like, when I think of, and when most people think of mind control, they think of like mindless zombies that are, you know, just repeating the same thing over and over that someone else has told them to say, or, you know, some big overlord that is, you know, controlling the thoughts of all. I hate social media so much. All right, so this is gonna be kind of a long word section here, so strap in. Patent US 6506148B2 basically states that by using frequencies, you can penetrate the human body, causing the nervous system to react and potentially manipulate one's minds, thoughts, and feelings, etc. Now, I will go more into this into the Project Bluebeam episode because it ties more to that, but it is because that's all about mind control and like manipulating the masses. The reason that's important here is because it shows that there are people out there with patents and people thinking about how to manipulate people's minds using whatever force they have. Now, the human mind does not have one specific frequency that it operates on. It ranges quite a bit from slow delta waves, which are 0.5 to 4 hertz during deep sleep, and gamma waves anywhere from 25 to 100 hertz during complete complex gamma waves, which range from 25 to 100 hertz, and that occurs when you're doing a complex cognitive task, which, if you remember from earlier, falls directly into the range that HAARP frequencies operate within. So this obviously goes off the deep end pretty quickly when it comes to discussing frequencies in the mind and the universe and consciousness and everything like that, and I will be going deeper into that during the Project Bluebeam episode. It does connect here because a lot of people claim that that is, or this whole theory rather, is a stepping stone in the grander plan of Project Bluebeam. And honestly, like, mind control is cool, but I don't think they need like a huge giant facility to direct beams at our heads and stuff. Like, sure, if they want to control like the weather and stuff, they could, but like, our phones control us so aggressively. Like, if they want us to believe something or act a certain way, just post some shit on Twitter, post some stuff on fucking Instagram, and just say some controversial thing, and then like 7,000 people will post a billion reels about it, and then you'll have a whole movement around it. I mean, I'm gonna be real, I think most people nowadays just kind of spit out whatever influencer they're thinking about or watching at the time. I mean, I genuinely think that they're better off just perfecting their social media algorithms than investing a bunch of money into trying to blast our brains with radiation. But I don't know. Motivations. Why? Why are they trying to melt our brains with radio waves, and why are they trying to cause natural disasters when they won't happen? It could be military experimentation, or it could be, trying to shift the real estate assets of the world, and that's like a whole other video about people owning land, because land is the only thing you can't make more of. So if you destroy a bunch of land that you want to develop something on anyway, but people live there, it's like, oh well, your house was destroyed, I'm gonna buy it. Or higher rent, or it could be just global psychological warfare, just to kind of add chaos to more chaos, keep people, it's like a forever war, but with nature, I guess. If there's always a catastrophe to focus on, you'll never really focus on what you need to focus on. Does that make sense? Whether or not it's a giant psyop or it is Tesla's technology reimagined for the military complex, there is some truth to some of the claims. I'm not saying the whole thing is 100% legit, but I'm gonna be real, if the government came out today and was like, yeah, we control the weather and we're trying to control your minds, I'm probably not the only one who believe that. Now, what do I think? I think at the end of the day that I feel like if this is true, then it's definitely for just trying to get people to not own land, because once you own land, you kind of have a lot of independence. And, I feel like I've gotten to the point where I don't really trust anything. But do I think HAARP is trying to control our brains? No, I don't. I don't think so, but I like I said, I already feel like they're doing a pretty good job with social media and our screens, and people are so stupid now. People can't even think. So I don't think they need to invest billions of dollars into blasting our heads full of radiation. I think we're doing it ourselves just fine. Do I think energy weapons are real? I do. I mean, they are real. And I do think they did steal some stuff from Tesla, because he laid kind of like the groundwork for positive change, but then I feel like because of the greed of the world, they stole it and used it for the military industrial complex. And we'll go more into all of this in the Project Bluebeam episode. So, with that being said, look out for that, and I hope you enjoyed this episode on the HAARP conspiracy theories, and let me know what you think, and if there's anything you want me to cover in future episodes, just leave them in the comments. And I hope you have a great day, and that the government spoon-fed psyop of social media doesn't kill your brain cells too much. So could control people's minds, what would you have them do? I don't think I would. I'd probably make them start throwing poop at each other. I think at the end of the day, I'd probably just get people to just leave me alone. Stop talking to me.